Hi, my name is Kat, and in January 2025 I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy at a Netcare private hospital. I had a natural birth delivery with an epidural, episiotomy and forceps. I know, a little bit dramatic. And in this video I'd love to share with you how much it cost for me to give birth at a private hospital in South Africa, in addition to my obstetric care at a private clinic at the hospital. Also other services that I had in my pregnancy, including Doula Services, maternity passport, and blood test draws, and an unexpected visit to the emergency room. I think that this video is most helpful to any lady who just found out that they're pregnant and would love to have a private care birthing experience but does not have medical aid. I also think it's amazing for me to share because I did document my pregnancy journey. I'll leave that on the description box for you to watch. And then I also shared my birth, and I'm transitioning into mommy content. So if this kind of content is up your alley, please consider subscribing. It would be amazing. The short answer is that my natural birth delivery cost 48,209, broken down between my medical aid and me. So my medical aid paid 46,950, and I had a shortfall of 1,259. The shortfall was because I had an additional doctor's appointment that I didn't anticipate because I was pregnant overdue my pregnancy. So my medical aid was Fed Health, and when I first joined the plan many years ago, I was on their basic plan for a single corporate working lady, with the knowledge that if I ever have like a life-altering medical issue, I can always upgrade. And that's just something that I'd like to teach you guys as well, that you can actually upgrade your medical aid anytime if you've got like a life-threatening issue. Not that pregnancy is life-threatening, but hey man, it's pregnancy. And I had a detailed conversation with the agent. It was quite delightful, quite informative, and I left the conversation knowing all the terms and conditions of the new plan. I'm very detail oriented, and I wanted to know exactly what I'm getting myself into. And then I upgraded by submitting blood tests from Lancet, a doctor's note from the GP, because I did take HCG tests for proof. And then also I submitted a scan. I didn't have to do that. It was a bit dramatic, but that's just me. I also completed their form, and the upgrade took about 3 weeks, and my premiums were upward of 3,000 Rand, and I got some nice perks, including prenatal classes. These were online and very informative. And I also had a hospital bag with mostly Bennett's products, a birth ball for exercising with 500 Rand, Doula Services, up to 3,000 Rand, postnatal classes, and they also paid for all of my 8 doctors' visit at my OB. I chose a doctor under the Netcare network hospital because if you do not choose a doctor in the network, you will incur more costs. I absolutely love my doctor, and if you want his details, you're more than welcome to ask. I had a total of 9 OB consultations, and each consultation included a scan. My doctor was so amazing that he wanted to see the baby's growth at every visit, so it was nice for me to see those as well. And then I did have 3 blood tests, including an HCG test to prove my pregnancy at the GP already. And then I had an NIPT test at 13 weeks of my pregnancy. This just checks for any abnormalities. And then I had a glucose test in my 3rd trimester. I also had 2 monitoring sessions at the obstetrician. This one was to check for the baby's heart rate and contractions closer to my due date. I had 2 because I was overdue in my pregnancy. The mean was 866, making the total cost at the doctor's rooms 10,602 Rand. My medical aid paid 9,270, and I paid 1,332. That was because of the additional cost for the fetal monitoring session. I will put a detailed breakdown over here. The highest cost that I paid at the doctor's room was $2,253. This was for the anatomy scan, followed up with the non-stress tests, which are the fetal monitoring tests. Whoa. Whenever I'd visit the private clinic, I'd have to pay cash and claim back from my medical aid. My medical aid would pay me this money after 7 days, and 7 business days. Wasn't too bad. So what I did was, when I got the money back, I would reuse it for the next consultation, because it's really difficult to find extra money for every consultation and then also save for the baby at the same time. So that's just a tip I'd like to share. All of my blood tests cost $2,300. Not too bad. However, my medical aid only paid $496. Kind of did me dirty. And then I paid $1,805. The blood tests were between Lancet and Empath. Lancet, I paid 1,500 Rand for the NIPT test. This checks for the abnormalities of the baby in 13 weeks of pregnancy. And then Empath's cost was 801, including the HCG test. That was my first test that I did at the GP, for 221, and the glucose was 305. Empath is not good with communication, because they called my dad instead of me to pay this amount, but he paid it. I'm grateful for daddy. And then my pap smear was 275. This was at my 6-week checkup. So yeah, other costs were also emergency room visit. I had a really bad case of gastro at 19 weeks pregnancy. I had eaten a Woolworths spinach feta pie, and my stomach was not having it. So I paid 971. I got some like pain management, nausea, vomiting medicine, and then I also paid a bed booking fee for my maternity passport to give birth at the hospital, because you have to actually book your bed. That's very interesting, something that I learned during my pregnancy. Other benefits also included a hospital bag. In the hospital bag there was like Huggies, nappies, wipes, Epimax in there, some really cool stuff. I also got a 4D scan, which is very, very expensive. The baby's first immunization and hearing test, help with birth registration at Home Affairs, 2-week baby checkup at the clinic, and a 24-hour postnatal advice line. Yes, so that's what I got for my bed booking services, or one of the many things I got. For the doula services, my medical aid would only pay up to 3,000 Rand, and I got an amazing doula from wombs.co.za. I absolutely loved her. She was doing the Lord's work, and her price was also 3,000 Rand. I did scan through wombs.co.za for a couple of other doulas, and man, those prices are heavy, I'll tell you that. So the medical aid will only pay for a natural birth delivery for the doula services, or if you had an attempt, you can still get it even if you went through a Caesar, but you at least had to attempt for a natural birth. I think doulas are amazing, man. They help you with like emotional support, just holding your hand. And that woman, Sinead, she did the Lord's work. My hospital stay was for 3 days and 2 nights, and I absolutely loved the stay there, except for the one time when the shower wasn't working, and because the shower was blocked. Otherwise, the care there was pretty much amazing, and I felt like the staff was very supportive and just like good people, man. So for the maternity delivery, it was 2,000. I'm sorry, Jacob's numbers. It was 22,540, and then I also got medicine when I was discharged for 281, making it a total of 22,821. And then I got an epidural. So the anesthesiologist fees for the labor and support, it was 8,102. Emergency procedure was 3,323. Pump and pain and pump management, 1,670. Pre-anesthesiologist assessment 1,438, and an emergency call out was 1,259, and this was the shortfall that I had because they do not pay for a call out fee. And for the obstetrician care, which was just the delivery of a baby, that was 8,637. This also included a 6-week checkup. Something that I learned, because when I was 6 weeks postpartum, I had visited my home in Limpopo, and I wanted to go to a different OB, and they would charge me like 3,000 rand because I did not deliver from them. So the fact that the 6-week checkup is included in this price makes this cheaper than going to somebody else. Just a side note. And then for blood and labs, for blood gases, which just basically checks the oxygen in the baby's blood, I think, or me, I don't know, that was 360. Thyroid was 370. Bilirubin was 90 rand. The blood group was 67 rand, and blood group for RH was 67 rand as well, making it a total of 956. Other costs are also vitamins, lotions, just clothing and care. For my vitamins, that cost me 2,790. That was quite high because I was taking Preg Omega. I think one box, if it's not on special, it's about like 330. I bought like 10 of those in the span of my 9 months. And then lotions, I used Portia M and Happy Events. I think I paid like 650 for all of those stuff. I'm not gonna really detail like how much I paid for clothing and food because that is not necessary. But yeah guys, that is how I got to those numbers. I hope that this video was informative, man. I think more than anything, I want my videos to be helpful. I'd love to have more of these conversations in the future, so if you want to continue watching my videos, please do, and see you in the next one.